Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. 7 o'clock on a Tuesday. We appreciate your commitment to being here and to learning more about our integrated academic support program at Proctor. My name is Sarah Doherty. I'm an Associate Director of Admissions here at Proctor, also a proud alum from the class of 2003. And I also serve as a co-advisor and a dorm affiliate here on campus, as well as a wilderness orientation leader. I'm joined this evening by a great crew of people. We have Jen Fletcher, our Director of Learning Skills, with us, and I'll let her introduce herself here in just a minute. Plus, we have a group of 5 current Proctor students who have all shown up tonight to share their stories and their experiences about their participation in our integrated academic support program. So we are hoping that you've come with a bunch of questions and that you're ready to tap into them for the student perspective on what it really means to take advantage of this pretty special program that we have at Proctor. Before we get started, I just wanted to shout out a few housekeeping items. One, that this event is being recorded, and it should be on our website tomorrow morning by about 8 or 9 a.m. So if you want to go back and rewatch the recording, please feel free to do that. Or if you want to share it out with folks who weren't able to join us tonight, I would encourage you to do that as well. The second thing is, if you wouldn't mind all just muting yourself for the duration of tonight's event, we find that that just runs a little bit smoother. And you can drop any questions or comments that you might have into the group chat, which I will be monitoring throughout the evening. I think that covers it for me. So I will go ahead, Jen, and pass the mic over to you. I'm also going to share my screen here. There we go.
Thank you so much, Sarah. My name is Jen Fletcher. I'm the Director of Learning Skills. This is my 27th year at Proctor and my 15th year as the Learning Skills Director. I am married to a Proctor alum and my 3 children were fortunate enough to come through Proctor Academy and are all off in college now. So my job tonight, I want to give you an overview about some of the aspects of our programs, and then we'll kick it over to the students so you can hear their perspectives. So let's take a look at that first slide, Sarah. And what I think is really special about Proctor's academic support is that we've actually been offering academic support since like the late 1930s. One of our faculty members at that time, Lyle Farrell, started a remedial reading program, and he had partnered with Dr. Samuel Orton, who is obviously a pioneer in dyslexia and finding ways to support kids and learning how to read. Over the years, the program has evolved. When David Fowler took over as head of school in the 70s, he continued to increase the learning skills numbers. And we were so fortunate just before he retired to have the Learning Center built in 1994 with he and his wife, Alice, who was a director of learning skills and just an incredible learning specialist. And then Steve Wilkins kind of picked up from there and did a deep dive into neuroscience and helping all of the faculty learn even more about the adolescent brain and what are some great teaching practices for diverse learners. And we're fortunate to have him return as an interim head to continue to give us feedback and to help evolve the program. And we're super excited about our new head of school coming in, Amy Smucker. She has extensive experience in working in independent schools and working with kids individually and just understanding what they need to be successful. So we're really excited and poised for continued success in the Learning Skills Department. Thank you. Whoop, here we go. Okay, so yep, slide number 2. To meet the learning specialists. So we have a team of 16 different learning specialists, as you can see. And what's wonderful about our team is that their primary role is to be learning specialists teaching up here in this department. But they really have different jobs across campus as well. We have dorm parents and coaches. We have heads of like directors of programs for Spain and Mountain Classroom and our wilderness orientation. Our Dean of Faculty currently, Lori Patriacca, is also a learning specialist, and our current Assistant Head of School, Annie McKenzie, was also a learning specialist. And we're really just involved all over campus and sharing that learning skills wisdom where we go. So we're excited about the team. Next up, so you might wonder, who is learning skills for? What kind of skill areas are kids looking to take advantage of when they come to Proctor? So a big one are kind of foundation skills in executive functioning. So time management, organization, prioritizing work, reflecting, learning how to be a good self-advocate. And that really leads a lot into ADHD coaching. And so being able to understand your ADHD, what strategies work well for you, what are some things that get you stuck, and how do we get unstuck from those things, goal setting, working on your progress. We also work on general study skills, and how to prepare for quizzes and tests, that kind of thing. And another important area is written expression. So there's a lot of different types of writing at Proctor. And starting your writing assignments can be a great thing to do in learning skills, where you can read the prompt together. You might outline, you might verbalize your ideas and draft your ideas, and then come back and rework the writing. So that's a very common area. We're also seeing a lot of students that benefit from working on math skills in learning skills. And so they have an opportunity to not only work on organizing their tools and their notes, but also to practice the skills, work on Khan Academies, and also kind of organize, what questions do I have for the teacher? Because sometimes we also want to make sure that they're getting right to the math teachers as well. And it can be helpful to think about, what do you need? What questions do you have that you want to ask your teachers? Another aspect might be digital literacy and research skills, and learning how to format and work on citations and understand primary versus secondary sources, things like that. So these are the major skills areas that we cover. And we teach all of the skills through the content. So the kids are getting their work done, and they're also learning strategies for managing it and getting help in their different subject areas. Let's see. So we have different levels of support at Proctor. The most intensive level of support is called learning skills. And this model is 2 students to 1 learning specialist. And it meets 3 class meetings each week, which all of our classes do. Occasionally, we'll pick up a 4th meeting time, depending upon the block rotation. And we also offer office hours, extra help appointments, that kind of thing. And then the exit program from full learning skills is learning skills independence. So we have a student tonight who's in learning skills independence, and she'll be able to talk about that a little bit. But essentially, after you've been in program for at least a year, we can reevaluate, see where you're at. And if you don't need the full structure of learning skills, you can do learning skills independence. It's still 2 students to 1 learning specialist, but it's half time. It's like 1.5 to 2 meetings per week. And this is really like the final step for students on their pathway to independence. I would say that, one of our big goals for all of our kids in program is to become independent learners that can really self-advocate and manage their own academics. And so LSI, as that final step, is really helpful. Kind of a separate track that we have is called Learning Lab, and that's a very moderate level of support. It's 4 students to 1 learning specialist. So usually we have around 8 to 9 students. I try to pair 2 learning specialists with complementary skill sets in that classroom setting. It's still 3 class meetings each week. And it's there's some individual coaching that happens, but it's not as deep a dive into the individual skills. But it's a great place to get organized, get your work done, maybe check in about a paper, work in a little bit of math, and have a very closely structured study time. And in total, we have about 37% of our population at Proctor that takes advantage of one of these levels of support. Let's see what's next. Okay, so the great thing about our academic support model is that you take it as a class during one of the blocks that's offered so that you are fully integrated into the school day. You're not missing anything by being in learning skills. We have a total of 7 academic blocks at Proctor. Not all of those blocks meet every day, as you can see on the schedule. There's either 5 classes, or there might be 3 on Wednesdays or 2 on Saturday. And then kids are taking 5 usually core classes, and then there's still 2 blocks left over, one for electives and one for academic support, if that is something that you would like to do. Sarah, I don't know if you'd like to comment any more on the schedule.
Yeah, well, I'm going to comment on the fact that I butchered the spelling of balanced, so that's on that's on me. Um,
Okay.
but what I do really like about this schedule is that, like Jen said, there's really opportunity to explore different subjects and different interest areas because you can still cover those core classes and have the 2 blocks to play with. And I think it really lends itself well to giving students time to actually apply the skills that they're learning in classes across subject areas, right? So you can see that it's a rotating block schedule, meaning that you're not meeting for every single class every single day. So there is time and space between class sessions to actually apply skills that you've learned during your learning skills sessions. And I think that's a really kind of nice feature of a 7-block rotating schedule.
Absolutely. And we take a lot of time in learning skills to kind of preview the week, right? As part of our, coaching process and time management through our learning management system, we can see everything that's coming up so that we can help the students make a plan for what they're going to do in learning skills, what they're going to be doing outside of learning skills, and what they might be doing on that day that they don't have learning skills, so that we're kind of planning, do you have away games? Do you have any extra meetings this week? Trying to take a comprehensive look at that schedule. And I would say too that learning skills students, they are taking, all the same classes that are available to everyone. If the honors and AP classes are right for you, you can absolutely do that. If you want more art selectives and art major classes, because that's your area of passion, that's also something that you can build into your schedule. Okay, so a lot of people wonder, what are common accommodations? So I think it's important to note that at Proctor, we don't modify the curriculum. The students have the same expectations as students who are not in learning skills, but accommodations are very important. We know that for a lot of kids, extended time on tests is very valuable. We have great thinkers that maybe need some more processing time. So we have kids that do time and a half or double time. There's also the option to test in a different location. If a student wants to test with their learning specialist, we just set that up 24 hours in advance. And for some kids, they like to have just that super quiet space. Maybe they're verbalizing, maybe they would like their learning specialist to read directions, test questions aloud, if that's something they need. We have other students that have the accommodation of using their computers and dictation tools on essay tests. And so it can be really helpful to have a space to do that. All of our students are pretty much using Calculator and the Desmos application. Every once in a while, the calculator might not be allowed because they're doing, exponents or something like that, but you can have approval to have like a 4-function calculator, which is very much what we see on the ACT for testing and standardized testing. But the accommodations work really seamlessly, and it's really helpful to have the educational testing coming in because the educational testing that the students have will often specify particular accommodations so that we can then look at those and evaluate, yes, that's an accommodation that we could do at Proctor. And then that's also used for standardized testing too. We offer a variety of standardized tests, ACT, SAT, throughout the year, and we are able to offer approved accommodations right here in our setting. Okay, next up.
Jen, if you don't mind, I'll jump in just really quickly too. We already have a question in the
Oh,
chat
yes.
kind
Yep.
of related to this. which is, does admissions monitor and keep track of the candidate pool to manage the potential number of students that may need or require learning support? For example, is there a specific percentage of learning support students that you try to manage? And I think what you just said, Jen, touches on this nicely in that, yeah, we are keeping track of that in admissions, because as odd as it is to say that we only have 16 learning specialists on campus, we only have 16 learning specialists on campus. And so their schedules do fill up pretty quickly. And so the sooner in the admissions process that you can start communicating with your assigned admissions officer about the needs and the learning support that you're looking for, the better. And that might also be then supplemented by you turning in any educational testing that you have early on in the process, so that we can start to kind of, figure out if it's the right fit, but then to Jen's point, also start to conceptualize what accommodations your student might want access to, and then we do our due diligence in making sure that we're able to provide those accommodations. And then the
Yeah,
follow-up to
absolutely.
that was,
Yeah.
the percentage of students that do require support, and I think Jen just touched on that. It's about 37% of students, on average each year, that are taking advantage of our integrated academic support program.
Yes, and I would also add that sometimes people aren't sure what level of support that they need for their student coming in. And so that's just a conversation with me, with the admissions counselor, really looking closely at the skills the student has, what their course load is going to be coming up, what might be the recommendations from the sending school. And in terms of, I see there's another question about the type of educational testing. We do like to see sort of the cognitive testing, so we can see the visual, the verbal, working memory, processing speed, how are the kids doing in those areas, and then also the complementary achievement skills in terms of what reading level are they coming in with, what's their writing skills, their math skills, are there any ADHD executive functioning factors that we need to look like. So really the more transparent students and families are in the admissions process, we can best help you. And we are very skilled at this. We've been doing it for a very long time, and we really welcome the conversation. It's an interactive process. And I would also add that having the student voice is super important, because we want them to feel empowered and open to the coaching and ready to kind of engage in that, into the coaching and academic support. It's really important. Okay, I think we're on to the next slide. I don't want to talk too long. I want to make sure the kids have plenty of time. So this slide is just to show you that we do a lot of tracking student growth over time. When the student first comes into Proctor, we develop a student learning profile. This is kind of like our version of an accommodation plan. It has the areas of challenge, the strengths, what can the student leverage, accommodations are on there. And then that goes out to all of the teachers so that they're aware of the types of learners that are in their classroom and can offer accommodations as needed. From there, we set the initial report, which comes out sort of the middle of the fall term, where we're setting goals. What's the plan for the year? And then at the end of that first year, we do an interim report, which tracks the progress. What was the goal progress? What was accomplished? What skills still need developing? And we make recommendations for the subsequent year. And then also when the kids exit program, we create a final report, which is kind of a final assessment of what they've accomplished, any recommendations for the college learning environment. And examples of all of these reports are actually right on our Proctor website under the academic support section. You can check them all out. We also just informally communicate with families, telephone calls, emails. We send little updates here and there. So we try to do our due diligence on our end to really make sure that we are understanding our students really thoroughly, setting up the plan, and really tracking carefully how they're doing. And lastly, What does success look like? This is the big white tent of graduation, my favorite time of year. It's always incredibly poignant because we see how much the students have grown during their time at Proctor. It's such a joyous occasion. And really what we're trying to create are like good humans that are lifelong learners, that are resilient, they're self-aware, they know their profile. They know how to collaborate with their peers. They know how to communicate with their teachers, and they've gotten to a place of academic independence so that they can manage themselves and be ready for that next learning environment in college, if that's what the path is for them. But even in the workforce, we know how important it is to be self-aware, to be a good communicator, and to know how to advocate for your learning needs.
I think that's the last one, Jen. Let's see.
Excellent. All right, let's hear
Good.
from our wonderful students.
Yeah, the feature of tonight's event, the students.
Headliners.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got, like I said earlier, we've got 5 students lined up to talk with you guys this evening. Now would be a great time to start dropping your questions into the chat box. Each student's going to take a minute or two here to introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about who they are, what they do here at Proctor, maybe what brought them to Proctor. But then we will start going to the chat and reading your questions. So start plugging them in. And if Theo, you want to give your welcome, you're up.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Theo. I'm from Wayland, Massachusetts. I'm a senior, and this is my 3rd year at Proctor, and also my 3rd year in learning skills. I came from public school. I was there for 2 years, and I needed kind of a more structured learning environment. And Proctor has definitely brought me that. So, yeah, I'm a 2-sport captain on the football and lacrosse teams, and yeah, I'm going to Segovia, so I'm doing a term abroad in Spain this winter, so I'm excited for that.
Awesome. Thanks, Theo. Sedona.
Hi, I'm Sedona. I'm a 3-year junior at Proctor, and I live in New London, but previously I lived in Providence, Rhode Island, where I went to a private school called Moses Brown for many years. But I moved up here to New Hampshire for Proctor because I needed learning skills. I needed the extra help in the organizational aid. And I currently am not playing a sport because I just had knee surgery, but before this year I played field hockey, ice hockey, and lacrosse. And I'm part of AP Prep Club, and I'm a writing first aid tutor. And I'm not going on any off campuses so far.
Great, thanks. Hadley.
Hi, I'm Hadley Crabiel. I'm a 2-year sophomore, and I'm from San Anselmo, California. I play varsity field hockey and tennis, and then I play JV hockey in the winter. And learning skills is really helpful for me. I really just like to catch up on my assignments and work on good study habits.
Great. Will.
Righty, I am up. Hi, my name is Will Summer. I am a 2-year sophomore. My hometown, Rowayton, Connecticut is really nice. My previous school was Eagle Hill in Greenwich, Connecticut. Activities I do are cross country in the fall, skiing in the winter, and tennis in the spring. I also help run the Pass Club, which is movie club basically. I have not gone on any off-campus programs, but I hope to next year. I came to Proctor because I thought it had a lot of good opportunities, such as the off-campus programs, and I needed a bit of help, and learning skills has definitely helped with that.
Will. ST.
My name's ST, and this is my 2nd year in Proctor. I'm a sophomore this year. I'm from Hong Kong, and I was in a local school and international school back in Hong Kong. And then I do kayaking in both fall and spring, and basketball in the winter. I am not going to any off campuses yet, but I want to go to maybe Segovia and Ocean. And I chose Proctor because I think there's a lot of opportunities of classes off campuses, learning skills, and a lot of other stuff. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I so appreciate you sharing your stories and being here to answer questions for us tonight. I'm not seeing many questions come through on the chat, so hopefully we get some to pop up here pretty soon. But I do have a couple just pre-populated questions that we've collected through email that I'll start with one, and I think it's a really good one. And that is, how would you describe the school culture in the community here at Proctor? Are learning differences normalized and accepted among students, faculty, and staff, or do you feel that there's stigma associated with them?
Overall, I'd describe the culture as really like welcoming and warm. And I think since the learning skills program is a really big aspect of Proctor, there's a lot of people who do have learning differences, and it is normalized and you're able to work around your learning differences while continuing to take a rigorous course load. So it's definitely a mix of like neurodivergent students and other students.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would just jump in and add that I think it's like kind of the opposite of negative stigma at this school. Like I feel like most people are aware that some kids learn in different ways here, and it's almost expected that you seek extra help even for kids who aren't in learning skills or don't have challenges. You're encouraged by faculty here to really get out and meet with them one-on-one and get extra help and do things to kind of make sure that you're prepared. So I think it's almost expected. It's not like it's not out of the ordinary at all.
Awesome. Anyone else want to chime in there? Will?
Yeah, probably. Okay. Yeah, I agree. The community is very supportive of whatever you need. The teachers will help you, and you could always find a place to belong. There's so many different types of people here, and we all get along very well. So that's all I have to add.
Perfect. All right, here's a question that just came through. Can you guys speak a little bit about how classroom teachers support students with learning differences?
So you
yep.
guys.
No. Okay. Well, teachers are very supportive of like giving you extra time for tests and providing extra help. It's required that teachers have a extra help session for students to go to if they choose to or not, once a week. So it's very helpful, but you can always like email or WebEx your teacher saying, I just need a little extra help. I have time and a half and I rarely never use it. So I use it most of the time, always. And so I most of the time take my tests in my learning skills with my learning skills teacher, Linda Sargent, and they're not allowed to like help, but it's a good space to utilize your extra time without having to cut off after an hour and then pick it back up later, as well as a room for you to focus. And so they're very accommodating overall.
Yeah, your teachers often are like communicating with your learning specialist about maybe what your needs are. And I also have time and a half and like to take a lot of my tests in learning skills. So Don and I have the same learning skills teacher. So we're often in there together just because it's an easy way to like focus and use your extra time, and your teachers can deliver your test to your learning skills teacher and you can take the test easily, and then your learning skills teacher delivers it back and it gets graded, and it's really seamless like you're taking the test in the classroom. So it's really helpful for me just to focus.
Great. Does anyone else have anything they want to add there? Or if not, we'll jump to the next question. Okay. I'm seeing a question that came through. This is a good one. So what are typical class sizes? So maybe you guys can touch on, like average class size for the course load that you have this year. And then the second question is, when do you go to teachers for extra support versus for learning support?
I can answer the first part. So the class sizes range between which classes you're taking. Some of them could be small, some of them big. Like I'd say the bigger classes are your English class and your sciences, but any of them could be big or small. And it's kind of a good thing that they're big because they're very student run, in my opinion. Um, English, you talk about the book, basically the entire class. And then science is a lot of hands-on, which is also very enjoyable. And what was the second part of the question again?
Yeah, the second part was, so when do you go to your teachers for extra support versus like your learning skills instructor for extra support?
For extra support, um, generally on the days that they have extra help, you should probably go if you're really struggling. Um, if you're not struggling all that much, learning specialist is the way to go. So yeah, two different things.
Awesome.
Yeah, answering that second question, I work with my learning skills teacher like usually on like most of my work, so she has pretty like a broad range of like knowledge and like knows how to help me with those classes, but I'll specifically go to like a teacher's extra help when we have like a big upcoming test or something, or I'm just like confused about a topic and I need to like clarify some questions. I'll go to extra help. But mainly I use my learning skills just to like work on assignments and uh, things like that.
Yeah, I would add that I think of learning skills as like a home base type of thing. Because you meet 4 times a week, just like all your other classes. So for me, learning skills is more time where I can decide which assignments I'm going to do and prioritize, time management, do stuff like that, and also decide which extra helps I'm going to attend, where I need to, focus more, where I need to, be better. So I use learning skills as kind of like for everything as a broader thing, and then extra helps are once a week, where you can get more individual work.
Yeah, great. Thanks, guys. Another question. When you started at Proctor, did you feel like you were at the right level of support in learning skills right out of the gate? Or have any of you transitioned between different levels? And then Jen, maybe more for you, like if students do need to transition down to learning lab or maybe up from learning lab up to full learning skills, how does that transition happen? And, like how often does it happen maybe?
I don't know if the students want to comment, but so sometimes we have students that start in learning lab because we think that that is the right level of support. And many do find it to be a great level of support, but if they find that we need to give them more individualized support, then it might be that the next term that we could have them enroll in learning skills. As Sarah suggested earlier in the presentation tonight, spaces do fill up very quickly. So we really try to, get projections and make sure that we are meeting the kids' needs right off the bat. But sometimes they need more individualized support. In terms of like over support, that doesn't usually happen too often. But once you sign up for learning skills for the first year, you are in it all 3 terms. But then after that, you have great flexibility. So it might be that your second year at Proctor, you're doing learning skills for a couple of terms, and then you're ready to decrease your support or be out.
And then Jen, I'm seeing another question. How do you know the appropriate level to start at? And I think you talked about that a little bit earlier, but if you could touch on that, I think that'd be helpful too.
Yeah, and that really is a conversation, right? Because every learner is unique. We want to look really carefully at their whole application, looking at the sending school, looking at the educational testing, looking at recommendations from teachers at their previous school, and then thinking about, do they need a lot of individualized attention in a particular skill area or multiple skill areas? That's sounding more like a learning skills student. If it's a student that has a very moderate learning difference, or maybe they don't even have a particular diagnosis, they just need a little bit of support as they transition to Proctor, then Learning Lab is probably a good space to start.
Thanks, Jen.
Yep.
Here's a good one for you students. Could you please compare your experience here at Proctor versus where you were prior to Proctor?
I have been a proctor for my both years in high school, but previously at my middle school in California, I was like kind of in their learning support program, which is similar to Proctor's. So it was a pretty easy transition from my experience in California with like working one-on-one with a tutor to working in learning skills here.
I like a Proctor here because when I compare Proctor to my old school, I had like 11 classes a day in my old school, and it was like a lot stricter. And then we also didn't have any like learning skills programs or like learning support or any stuff like that. So it was pretty new to me. And on the first time when I came, we got the learning profile back from my teacher, and it really helped me to understand more about myself, like what my weakness is, my strength is, and I think it's really helpful.
Wait, oh, also, I didn't have such a rigorous course load at my previous school, but I reclassed in my freshman year, so I did my first freshman year at my previous school in Rhode Island, and it was there was extra helps where I would go, but it was only 30 minutes of the day, and there's so many students, so it wasn't as much like personalized support with each class. And it's with people with like learning disabilities, it's not just about spending extra time on work. It's like I have my my learning skills teacher like read things out loud to me sometimes, just and like bouncing ideas back and forth for writing. And so when I decided to come to Proctor and reclass and do my freshman year over again, I'm really glad with my decision because it's very easy to go into your classes and like accept that extra help that you need, and it makes like school not so much of a burden.
Awesome. Did someone else have something they wanted to add? Nope. Okay. Great. Thank you guys. Another question. Do you feel like how you have utilized your learning specialist has changed over the years? So what did learning support look like during the first year versus now if you're in your second or third year of the program?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So as I said before, my third year, and it's with the same learning specialist, shout out Raz. But yeah, we have a great relationship. And when I came to Proctor, I wasn't good at, I wasn't organized. I didn't do a lot of homework. I wasn't disciplined. And so when I would go into learning skills, we would literally have to write down, what time I was going to do each assignment at night. So it was a lot more involved. And then now when I go in there, I have my own planner. I have, the tools that I need. So she just kind of makes sure that, I'm not forgetting about anything, or, we discuss on how we can do better and how, what we need to attack. But yeah, it's definitely evolved into being a lot more independent over the years.
Could you repeat the question again?
Yeah. So the question is, how has like your use of your learning specialist kind of like evolved over your time in the program, right? So what did it look and feel like during your first year versus what it looks and feels like now, your work with your learning specialist?
Yeah, so last year, I was really just like getting settled in learning skills, and my learning specialist was like getting to know me as a learner, and we were working together, coming up with like good study habits and productive ways for me to best succeed. And now, I really have a great relationship with my learning skills teacher, and I go in and am ready to work, and she just helps me keep on top of all my work.
Awesome. Thanks, Hadley. Jen, maybe more a question for you, but students, you can answer too if this applies to you. Do any students do one-on-one tutoring in addition to learning skills? And I'm not sure if that means like outside tutors perhaps or tutors on campus, but is there one-on-one tutoring happening outside of learning skills?
Yeah, we have a few students who maybe they want to do SAT, ACT prep. So sometimes that could be a private tutoring that they're doing over the summers, perhaps. We also have a few students that do a separate math tutoring, not very many, because we really want the students to be using the full resources of math extra help, learning skills time, peer support through math first aid. But for some students, there's a few profiles where they have many different skills that they're working on. And so it can be helpful to have a math tutor on top of the learning skills, but it would only be like a couple of students that do that. It's not a major part of our program. I think that most of the kids find if they put in the time and they meet us halfway, they can really get the support they need directly from the teachers, the peer support and learning skills.
Great, thanks, Jen. I like this one. Do your assignments differ from non-learning skills students? For example, do you read different books due to your learning plan or academic plan? Are you given more time to get the reading completed? So do your assignments differ from non-learning skills students?
Um, everyone's work is exactly the same. If you're taking a class in your learning skills, you still have the exact same expectations for a student who's not in learning skills, but you can rely on your learning specialist to help you in that course if you're struggling. And you can advocate for yourself, express to your teacher that you might need an extension on the reading, but for the most part, things are the exact same for learning skills and non-learning skills students.
Great, thanks, Hadley. This will be a popular one. Do you have restrictions on phone use during study halls and classes? What's the phone use policy on campus, you guys?
So phone use, it really depends on the teacher. But if they do see that you can work on assignments, they will let you keep your phone on you as long as you don't take it out. If they see that you're like on technology and you're unreliable with it around you, they will have you put it in this like pouch thing on the side of the room. It's just over there for the entirety of class. You can pick it up afterwards. It's not really a big deal. Some teachers just enforce it overall. And during study hall, it depends because what could happen is you're done with your work and but your roommate has more work than you do. So what they recommend is just not to disturb them. Wear earphones if you're using it in study hall and don't talk to them very much about anything. If you're getting distracted, your dorm parent will probably pick up your phone. Yeah, that's really all the technology usage stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it really depends like on the person. Like usually in class, like you're expected not to be on your phone, and some teachers do like take everybody's phone at the beginning of class. But in study hall, um, you can be in structured study hall where you're in the library every night and you turn in your phone for 2 hours while you're studying. But other than that, I don't think there's too many restrictions, just like an expectation to be getting your work done and not like be distracted or distracting on your phone.
Awesome. Language waivers. Can we talk about language waivers and the language, foreign language requirement at Proctor? Can you guys speak to that?
Well, all of us are we pretty much have to take 2 years of language. I have heard of some people who might have gotten out of it, but most likely you're gonna have to take 2 years. And we actually do have quite a big variety. I'd say big variety. We have 3 choices. Spanish, which a lot of people take. We also have French and Chinese. I am a Chinese student, but I found it pretty manageable, even though it's such a hard language. And as we said earlier, we all get the same workload as each other. And you're expected to do the work, but please do advocate if you do need that extra time.
Great, yeah.
Uh,
And I'll just follow up on that too by saying, Will's absolutely correct. So every student's required to take 2 years of a language here at Proctor. Some students choose to study in Segovia because your one term in Segovia earns you a year's worth of Spanish credit. So if you're looking to accelerate through the language requirement, that's kind of one strategy. But we don't offer any language waivers. So every student that comes to Proctor, regardless of your learning profile, your learning differences, will be taking 2 years of a foreign language. So that's a really good question. Structured study hall. There's a question about structured study hall. Is it optional or mandatory for some students? Do you guys have any info on structured study hall?
Yeah, I got some experience with structured study hall. So basically, it's optional until either your learning specialist or advisor decides that you're not getting your work done, you have too many missing assignments, and then they put you in structured study hall, which means you go to the library for the duration from 7:30 to 9:30. So my first term at Proctor, I was a sophomore. I wasn't getting assignments in, and I was placed in structured study hall, and it was a great motivator to not want to go back there. And yeah, definitely helped me, and I'm no longer in it and have not been.
Thanks for the transparency there, Theo. That's huge. Is academic support equally available to both day and boarding students? Do day students feel as though they do not have adequate time available to themselves for support? So, Sedona, maybe you can touch on this, but do you feel like you have the same access to academic support, maybe through learning skills or just in general at Proctor as boarding students do?
I would say that I do have equal support. I mean, a lot of extra help times are obviously after classes and after activities. So traditionally at 7:15, 6:30, which as a day student, you would think you would go home after classes, but Proctor, it's a community of people who all live here pretty much. So I live 20 minutes away. However, I stay most nights till 9:30 if I stay in the library, or 7:30, not only to like connect with my teachers, but just because that's where everybody is. And as a day student, I think there is like if you have to go home early, like if you have other obligations at home, it's not extra help is not a set time. You can always ask your teacher for more additional like one-on-one time. So as a day student, I never felt like excluded from any extra helps. And even if like you can't make any extra helps times, I've had teachers just take a video of them talking for like explaining something, or take a video of a class that I missed, or just WebEx me like a YouTube video trying to help me. But yeah.
Awesome. Good explanation. Thank you. Do any of you have language-based learning challenges that affect your reading and writing skills? If so, do you find that having the same workload as your peers who don't have learning differences causes issues? For example, if you have 35 pages of a book being assigned one night for homework, it's difficult for you to keep up because of your learning difference. So does work start to pile up? Do you have it, and do you have to ask for extensions?
I'm dyslexic, so like I have a little bit more trouble with like reading and writing, but I have tools to help me like follow along like reading our books. I use Audible a lot when I have a reading assignment. But overall, I'm right on top of all of those assignments, and sometimes I just work extra if I need more time in learning skills to do those, but usually it's fine.
So, my first language is not English, it's Chinese, so I don't really understand English when I just came over. That's why I was in learning skills. And then the first book that we've read was like The Art of Racing the Rain. It was really confusing to me because like when we need to read like 20 pages a day, and then I just finished one page and I don't even understand what that means. And that's when like learning skills really helped me. My learning specialist last year, she went through every single pages with me and then explained and then told me to write down notes on every single page of like the events that happened. I think that really helped me. And now this is my second year in learning skills. And I think that whatever that I learned last year was really helpful to me because I know how to write better, I know how to read and stuff like that.
I love it. Thanks, ST. Have any of you had experience seeking more academic challenge? How has learning support helped you to advocate for the right balance of challenge and support?
I currently take a kind of heavy course load. I'm in 4 APs and an honor. And I came in at English 9 level and the kind of baseline classes, and that was appropriate for me at the time as I was struggling organizing and doing my work on time. And through learning skills, I utilized my learning skills teacher to get on top of my work. And in doing that, I was able to progress in classes. So instead of doing English 9, I went to AP language and composition. And I went into AP Calc instead of, doesn't matter. But I advanced in classes when it was appropriate for me. And through my learning skills teacher, I was able to get past all the like small like organizational skills and how it took me a long time to read books and so I could challenge myself appropriately.
Yeah, I as well take like a pretty heavy course load for like the courses offered as a sophomore, but I rely on my learning skills to manage that work, and she helps me like know where I am like as a learner, so I can kind of like figure out what classes are appropriate for me to take.
Awesome. Jen, maybe one for you. Are all learning specialists knowledgeable in all areas of academic learning, math, science, history, etc.? And then how many students are paired with a faculty member for support?
Yeah, so we have a team, right, of 16 different learning specialists. We all do a lot of professional development training and are very familiar with the curriculum, but we're not content experts in every single class that we offer. at Proctor. I think that would be pretty hard to do that. We certainly have people that have more specialties in the STEM fields and more specialties in maybe world languages. So I think really carefully when I'm doing learning skills placements, to try to put you with the right person. And sometimes, every once in a while, it's not necessarily the best match, and that's okay. We can revisit that match, in order to make a change to maybe someone that works better, for your learning style. But we do a lot of work to stay current. So for example, we have a new math curriculum, the integrated math curriculum the last few years, which is taught pretty differently than like Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. So we've been doing a lot of work on enhancing our own understanding of that. And we also work collaboratively. That's the other thing. The departments, the math, the English, the science, the world language, we all work together. We all have the same goal of helping our students be successful. So we're not doing our work in isolation, but it's ongoing. We're lifelong learners too. We're always trying to get better at what we do. In terms of how are students paired with a faculty member, I think I tried to answer that. So again, really doing careful reading of the application. Also, once a student is accepted and decides to enroll, there's an opportunity to fill out what we call like a learning skills supplement. And there's a couple of questions there that can tell us more about your learner and what you think they need. I've also spoken often with learning specialists from other schools to get to know the students coming in. So if there's another educational professional that a parent would like me to speak with that would help in understanding their student coming in and also with placement, we do that kind of work all the time as well.
Great, thanks, Jem. And we've got about 3 minutes left. Let's see, we have one more question that just came through. Is there a learning profile that actually isn't the best match or fit for Proctor? Receptive language, oral expression, processing speed, etc. There's such a variety in the context of LBLDs. Can you share a little about framing where you actually can't help or support enough?
Yeah, that's a really great question, right? And we're always trying to figure that out and assess that during the admissions process. I would say that, we really need students who want to work hard, that want to come to the table, that want to be coached, that have that desire to really want to be at Proctor, and work hard, and take advantage of their supports. I also think that if someone's foundation skills are really low in reading, writing, math, and they're coming into high school, it might be that they need to do more remediation, more skill development before they come to Proctor, because we don't modify the curriculum, right? The students have the same expectations. And so those are some things that we consider, in terms of looking at a profile that is going to be workable for us. I would say like sort of the top learning diagnosis that we support is ADHD and executive functioning, closely followed by dyslexia, language-based learning differences. So yeah, looking at those key foundation skills, looking at the work ethic, willingness to self-advocate. It's a very holistic picture that we take when we're looking at students, right, Sarah? So I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, no,
from
I
your
think
end.
you you captured it really well there, Jen.
Yeah.
So with 1 minute left, I'd love to ask the students this, and this is just kind of my personal question. If you could give one piece of advice to students who are sitting on the other side of this Zoom call tonight that are considering coming to Proctor next year, if you could give them one piece of advice about learning skills at Proctor, what would it be?
I think learning skills can be used differently for everybody who's enrolled in it based on like what you need as a student. So like don't think that learning skills is just for people who need a lot of help, because like I use learning skills just to like do my homework and like feel comfortable in the classes I'm taking. And I think there's a wide range of like learners in learning skills.
Yeah, I would just say that at Proctor, they give you like all the tools that you could possibly need to do well. Um, your learning skills specialist, your teachers, they're all going to try to meet you where you're at, and you just have to do the actual work and like Jen mentioned, self-advocate for your and kind of take advantage of all the stuff we have here to help you do well, because everyone here does want to see you do well at the end of the day.
Will or Sedona or ST, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, and even on top of that, have fun. Do what you can to make the best of the experience, because there's not many other things like this. So it's a lot of fun.
I love it. That's a good closing remark, Will. Work hard, but have fun at the same time. And I think Proctor balances those two things really well with the support of the learning skills program in particular. So thank you to all of the panelists. You guys were awesome tonight. I appreciate you fielding all these questions. Jen and I both appreciate it. And to all of you that are tuning in tonight, please keep Proctor on your radar. Reach out to us if you have any follow-up questions, and look for the recording on our website tomorrow morning if you want to listen back to it. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.